So part of it, I tell my clients, because I work with really fearful dog, that you take the dog out crate, they shit themselves, like just that scared. And I tell people, I said, our goal is really not to make your dog happy, not there yet, like, but really, we're teaching your dog to able to recover from whatever that is.
So there's this, Panksepp's theory is really interesting. He's got a book called Affective Neuroscience, and it's really cool. He talks about this thing called blue ribbon emotions. And in blue ribbon emotions, he says there's these negative emotional systems, and he's named them rage, fear, and panic. Pretty clear, like those are bad emotional systems. And then there's over here, there's the positive. And when I say negative and positive in this sense, I'm talking psychology, not mathematics. And you have to clarify, because a lot of times in dog training, we jump back and forth and we're not clear. Like if I go, positive reinforcement, now I'm talking mathematically positive, or positive punishment, I'm talking mathematically positive. But if I say positive emotional systems, I'm talking psychologically positive. So it's like you gotta watch it with dog trainers, because they be jumping back and forth between math and psychology, and they're not clear about which one they're talking about. So this is psychologically positive and negative. So there's these positive emotional systems, play, affiliation, mating, like over here. And there's this bridge between them called the seeking system. And the seeking system, like, so the positive emotional systems can't operate. They're inversely proportional to the negative emotional systems. If a dog is 80% in fear, he can only display like 20% play. If he's in 100% fear, you're going to get zero fucking play. Like, it's not going to happen. The seeking system has the ability to turn on in the face of the negative emotional systems, but it's basically a seesaw argument. How strong is the seeking system, and is it strong enough to pull them out of the fear system? And if it is, you can pull them into these positive emotional systems. But just the visualization of that idea of a bridge between them is important, because what a lot of people will do is they're like, I want to train with positive reinforcement and like blah, 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 blah. And we go seeking system, and I do too, 100%. The first step is turn on the fucking seeking system. If the dog is like, I don't want your food, I don't want your toys, I don't want your affection, get the fuck away from me, we can't train, because it's all fear, no seeking. But if I can use some desensitization, some extinction, and then a little bit, like the air scent a little bit, that's a little 1%, the seeking system comes on. And I can nurture that like you're starting a fucking fire in the woods, and get seeking turned on a little bit. And now the seeking system can start to pull them out. Now I want to build the seeking system to be so fucking strong, so strong, but it's literally like physiology. Temple Grandin did this in her book, Animals Make Us Human. She talks about a study that she did with pigs, where she put some pigs, they're cloned, in a olfactorily stimulating environment, and another set in a visually stimulating environment. And on autopsy, they could tell the difference, because like the neurons and dendrites were thicker and more developed in the olfactory region in that, so you could tell it's not just psychology, it's like real. It's not just like fucking hoo-ha feelings, it's real brain, right? So if a being is constantly stimulating the fear system, that's a physical area of the brain. Like you can put an electrode in an area and make a dog display fear. Like that is not just psychology, that is a physical place in their brain. And it's like, if they're always in fear and they're never in seeking, the seeking system will atrophy and the fear system will strengthen. So the first part of training is 100% like the whole purely positive idea. Stop fucking exposing them to that bad shit. Like no fear, like turn the fear system off, avoid whatever it is, get the hell away from it. Turn on the seeking system so it becomes as strong and as developed as humanly possible. But that's just the first step. The next step is going back to the fear system. And it's like those shitty movies in the 80s with like a helicopter, how they'll put them in a simulator, a flight simulator, and they're trying to stay level. And then somebody goes, cue the hurricane, and the fucking thing starts wobbling, and they have to like, whoa, and stabilize it, right? We have to do that. I have to turn on the seeking system, and then I have to intentionally, on purpose, turn on the fear system, not to make them scared, but to teach them how to stabilize, because they've got to experience it, and they've got to be able to use their seeking system to override it and quell that fear system. And that's self-confidence and self-efficacy. When a dog goes, when I feel this, I can beat it. And then we apply a little more and a little more and a little more until they can see and experience anything. And it's not that they don't get scared. When that system kicks in, they're like, I can do this. And they know the procedure and they know what to do, and they believe that they will be effective in their doing of it. And now we have what is called a confident dog. And you got to do the same thing with the panic system and the same thing with the rage system, depending on which one's the problem for the dog. But it's like everything is about teaching them how to get their seeking system to beat the negative emotional systems. We've got to teach them how to win that fight over and over and over again until they have utter faith. When presented with that fight, they're like, not a problem, I can win.
People, they're to joke like dog trainer can't agree on things, right? And they're also, I feel like if we put really good trainer and good people, they're not just good, you get what I'm saying? They're like, they might good with dogs, but shitty people. And
people like that.
And so I said they probably all can agree on the dog training is really about the relationship. It's not about the tricks you try to fix certain behavior issues.
Yeah, it's tough, man. There's overall, there's less camps than people think overall. And each little paradigm has its own breakdown, right? Like there are people who think dog training is how many cool things can you get the dog to do? And then that can be broken down into a million different, we use tugs. I never use tugs. I only use food. I use shaping and whatever. But that paradigm of dog training is defined by behaviors on cue, right? And then there's the paradigm of dog training is how little your dog can do. Shut up, don't bark, sit down, don't move, be calm, state of mind, like flat, like pancake flat. The thing that gets quoted by me a lot, the thing that gets quoted from me a lot is a dog-shaped rug that apologizes a lot, right? Like that's what a lot of people think dog training is. If they see a dog that just lays there and goes, I don't want to make any mistakes, and does nothing wrong, like sorry, they're like, that's a well-trained dog. You're like, you're out of your fucking mind. That is a horrible situation. But you know what I mean? Like there's a paradigm of dog trainers that believe dog training is what can you get your dog not to do. And then inside that paradigm, there's all these different cliques of I hit them with towels, I electrocute them, I drowned them, whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's all their arguments about which way is the better way to make a dog not do stuff. And then there's a paradigm of people that are like, dude, it's about a healthy relationship that can function in the world. Like, yeah, I mean, I need him to be able to do some shit. I also need him to be able to not do some shit. But really, the parameter of successful dog training is, can we make it together friction-free, like conflict-free? Like, can we get through the bullshit together skillfully? Like, that's what the paradigm is. And then inside there's all these different ideas. But those three paradigms to me are much more important. People will go like, well, do you use a prong collar? Do you use a click? Or do you use food? Do you use, electric? Like, what do you use? And it's like, I care way less about that and more about which one of those paradigms are you in. Because I know dudes that use electric on the get them to do side, and I know dudes that use electric on the get them not to do side. So it's not like, do you use electric? Yes or no? I'm like, I don't give a shit. What's your goal? What? Because if you're in one of those paradigms, we're not, like, if you're in the get your dog flat paradigm, we're not going to be able to have a discussion. If you're in the get your dog to do paradigm, I'm going to be like, we can have discussions and I'm not going to be mad, but like, I'm going to keep trying to nudge you back over. Hey, come on, man. Like, yeah, but there's more. Yeah, but there's more, right? And if you're in the relationship paradigm, we're going to get along swimmingly, even if we do everything 100% different. Like, I use flat buckle collars and flexi leashes, and somebody else, and I don't really like to use food. Somebody else will be like, I only use food and clickers and electric collars. And I'm like, I agree. Who gives a shit? Like, we're in the paradigm, we're going to be able to talk, you know?
So now with the conversation with you, I think part of like really feel in sense for me is being validated a lot of things I have been doing. Awesome. the part is, I work with feral dogs, so I want to ask you this. So a lot of dogs, for example, my personal dog, he's from Taiwan, street dog. The rescue got him when he's already a year and a half, on the street. So a lot of those dogs got him a little older. They have zero interest in playing toys. They're not interested in tags. Like he never chased balls. Like, so for dogs like that, what's your take? Like, if we want to encourage him a little more, or he's like he's good as he is,
Well, so all dogs are good as they are, if they are as they are. The problem is what a dog is now may not be, you know what I mean? Like, dude, I didn't know I liked, I don't even know, Greek food until somebody gave me Greek food. And when I was young, you're like, you want Greek food? I'm like, no. No. Why? I hate Greek food. Have you ever had it? No. But I think I hate it. I don't know. I have no interest in Greek food. And then one day it's like it's there and whatever. And then you go, fuck man, I really like this. Do you know what I'm saying? So like I believe that I think that very often one of the reasons dogs act like dogs appear to not be into play is because their emotional systems are depressed. Literally, like they are literally depressed. Like depression is the absence of the seeking system. They are not looking for new things. They have no expectation of good things. They are not turned on by novelty. Like they are neurologically in a bad space and will not exhibit play behaviors, but it's because they're in a psychologically bad space. You can't make a judgment about that being preferring or not preferring. You know what I'm saying? It's like if I'm a kid and I've had shitty relationships, somebody's like, you want to be my friend? I'm like, fuck you, I don't need friends. You can't look at me and go, yeah, forever and ever, Jay's personality is such that he doesn't like friends. You're like, no, dude, I'm just an asshole kid and I think I don't like friends because I've had bad experiences. But if you give me a minute, I might actually really want some friends. So it's like, I think when they go, I'm not interested in play. One, you have to go, are you in a psychological place that you could even express it if it was there? So if the answer to that is yes, we move on. If the answer to that is no, give it time, because when their psychology changes, when their seeking system becomes stronger than their fear system, they may be able to exhibit whatever play they do actually have in their body, right? In their makeup, right? That's one thing. Second thing is you only play what you understand. Right? So like, imagine you don't speak English and somebody comes up to you and tries to get you to play a game. And they take a ball and they like fake to one side, fake to the other side, and throw it up in the air and look at you. And you're like, what the fuck is that? Like, I don't know what that is. And they like, imagine if you'd never seen basketball and someone tried to show you basketball. Like they dribble the ball and you kick it and then they go, ah. And you're like, well, okay, I guess I'm not supposed to do that. And then they dribble the ball and then they knock it out of your hands. And then you're like, I don't understand any of this. But we can tell a kid, hey, look, basketball. And we go, oh yeah, basketball. And now we're willing to play. Or we can explain to them. But imagine how frustrating it would be to have somebody try to come to you and play a game without telling you and explaining and just playing, and you're like figuring out as you go and you're doing shit wrong and you don't understand what they're doing. You would go, dude, I don't want to play this game. This is stupid. But the truth is, if they could explain the rules to you, like if they gave you the rule book and they could explain it to you, you'd be like, oh, that makes sense. I'll play that. It's your lack of understanding that inhibits your play, not your lack of desire to play. So that's the second step, is do they understand? Then there's the third step of, if they understand, do they believe they can trust? Because in play, you must trust the other being to keep it play and not have it turn weird. We are playing a game of possession, not challenging one another for actual possession. We are playing a game of chase and catch, not I am the actual rabbit and you are the actual wolf. You know what I mean? Like, we're playing a game, not actually having a problem. So they may be in the psychological place, totally understand, but not trust you enough to allow play to occur. So I think you have to give all three of those things real fair chance to make sure it's not one of those inhibiting the play. And then if you've taken care of the dog, totally trusts you, totally understands the game, psychologically is willing to display play behaviors in a multitude of other circumstances, and they still don't want to play tug, then they just don't want to fucking play tug. Let them be the dog and stop fucking with them about it. But people have the problem. They stop way too early and they don't access what they could, or they just insist the dog be a dog different than they are. Both of those are bad. There's this range. Give them a good, fair chance, and then let them choose. But give them a good, fair chance. They have to understand, trust, and exhibit play. And then if they all have all those three things and they still choose not to play the game, then don't worry about it. Who cares?
Well, just for my personal dog, well, he definitely loves to play. He do his things, right? Just not tag or retrieve.
Okay.
He chases squirrels, right? But he doesn't chase balls. So he has the drive, right?
Yeah. Does he play tug with any other dogs?
No.
Okay. Does he enjoy resistance overcome? Is he the kind of dog that will pull to get to the thing that he wants, or will he dig the hole to get under the like pull on the stick that's in the ground and like, son of a bitch, this is coming up?
He doesn't do that. The reason, so when we first want to introduce a bowl to him, because he never chased anything rolling or anything like that. So we bought this bowl, you can put food in it.
Okay.
Now that got him going, right? He know there's a food. So if he knew there's some food in a toy, he will go anything he try to get it, right? Now, for example, if we throw a tennis ball, he will go and he sniff it. No food. He just walk away.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, there's a number of things to experiment with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Play is adaptive in animals, right? Play is adaptive. It's how nature teaches lessons. So for a dog to be a functioning member of a pack, it must be at maturity, it must possess skills, hunting, survival skills. If it doesn't, it's not going to get along well in the pack. It's not going to make it, right? It's got to be functioning. Well, how does an animal show up at maturity with fully functioning skills? They do that through play. When they are chasing a leaf as a puppy, they're practicing. They're not intentionally practicing chasing a rabbit, but they're practicing chasing a rabbit. When they wrestle with their litter mates, they're learning about fighting. They learn that when I bite here, they can still drag me 15 steps, but when I bite here, it trips them and knocks them over. So when I'm going to go for a deer, I know to bite here to take them down, not here. But they're learning about, not intentionally, of course, but they're learning skills through play. A being that loves to play the piano will get better at piano than a being that doesn't like to play the piano. So a being that loves predatory behaviors is going to do better than a dog that doesn't enjoy them, because they're not going to play. And if they don't play, they don't develop skills. If they don't have skills, they can't be a functioning member of the pack. So predation is play. Like, do you know what I mean? The predatory cycle, if you look at it, like there's searching, stalking, chasing, fighting, celebrating, consuming. That's kind of the cycle of predation, right? The dogs will go through that for a hunt. Elements of that are present in all play. You throw a ball, they chase it. They grab it, they celebrate with it. When they come back to you, they spit it out. They're stalking you while you throw it, they chase it again. So fetch, quote unquote, is just this even cycle between chase, celebrate, stalk, chase, celebrate, stalk, chase, celebrate, stalk. And a dog that doesn't like that cycle, we will say is broken. Chases it, but the ball stops moving, so there's no more chase, and they don't really know to, or either they don't know that they enjoy the celebrate aspect because they've never been exposed to it, or they don't enjoy it. And so they go, it's dead. And there's no food in it, so I'm not going to go into consume. If there's food in it, I go to consume. And then you take it from me, and now I'm stalking, and you throw it, and I chase it. So they're going, when you put food in the ball, they're going chase, consume, stalk, chase, consume, stalk, instead of chase, celebrate, stalk. right? And then we're like, okay, then there's a dog that we throw the ball, they chase the ball, they get the ball, and then they play keep away from us. And we go, they're broken. They don't know how to fetch. They don't know fetch, they know play. And they're just spinning the dials that they find most rewarding. So they like to chase the ball, and then they want you to chase them while they have the ball. And then when you stop chasing them, they come close and they go like this. And when you try to grab it, they pull their head away. And they're trying to tell you, dude, chase me. I'm trying to tell you what dials I like you to spin. Come spin them. And then we'll go, that dog doesn't know how to retrieve. He keeps showing it like he wants to give it back to me and then takes it away. He doesn't know how to fetch. They're not broken. We just named a very particular cycle fetch. You know what I mean? But if you're smart enough to look at what dials is the dog spinning and how can I make that productive and functional for me? So your dog that will chase the ball but then loses interest, put a ball on a very long string. Throw it. He gets to it, he goes to sniff it, bounce it. It goes boom, boom, and then he goes, hey, and jumps on it again. And then starts to sniff it, and you go boom, boom, and he goes, whoa, 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 and chases it again. And then starts to look at it and wait for it to move, and now he's stalking. He was chasing, and now he's stalking because he stares at it and stares at it and stares at it, and then you go boom, boom, and you make it move, and he pounces on it with both hands. And you can do little bits of that all the way till the ball's back to you, and then you throw it again. You know what I mean? At some point, he might stick his feet on it to try to keep it still, and then you bounce it, and he's smart, so he goes, I'm going to use my mouth. And now he's holding it so it can't get away. And now it looks like we switch from fetch, quote unquote, to tug, quote unquote. But really, we're just experimenting with aspects of that play/predatory sequence. So it's like most people just can't unlock the combination in the cycle that their dog enjoys. We try to force these three, like most people when they play tug, it is fight and stalk over and grab the toy. We fight, 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 out, you stalk. Yes, fight, 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 out, you stalk. And we do 1/3 fight, 2/3 stalk. And if the dog doesn't find that combination satisfying, we're like, they're broken. We never, what if it was 2/3 fight, 1/3 stalk? What if it was mostly stalking with very little fighting, just little punctuated bouts of fighting? What if I run away and you have to chase me while you hold the toy? There's so many combinations, and you could discover the avenue of play that elicits the response in your dog. But we play a very myopic view of games that are very particular combinations, and those combinations do hit a lot of dogs. But we lose a lot of dogs because we're not finding the game that speaks to them. We're playing our game at them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I might have to give it a try, or he's good enough.
You know, but again, like I said, I have one dog. I'm talking all this shit about toy play. One of my dogs, Mabel, does not play toys at all. Doesn't care. So we don't play toys. I don't give a shit. Like, her favorite thing in the world is harness sports, but not low gear weight pull distance. She thinks she's a fucking Malamute. She does canicross and bike joring. She's a pit bull. She does canicross and bike joring. Heaven. Heaven. Put her in a harness and let her do 5 miles. Brr, she's in heaven. You take a toy out, she's like this. No. I have another dog that if you try to take him for more than 6 blocks, he's like, fuck, this is bullshit. But he'll hang off a spring pole for an hour. He likes high impact. He doesn't like long. He doesn't want to run a marathon. He wants to do sprints. He wants to play rugby. She doesn't want to play rugby. She wants to do long runs. Okay, cool. So we have totally different activities, but they get to tell me what they want. And my job is to give them that. My job as a parent is to expose them to everything, play every sport, play every instrument, do every subject in school. And if you turn out to be a cello player, awesome. And if you turn out to be a rugby player, awesome. I don't care. I got to show you everything. I can't just stick you in the 3 things I wish you were good at. I got to expose you to everything, and then you get to tell me, you know? But you got to be open-minded about it, and you got to pay attention, because your dog could be telling you, I want to play these aspects, and you'll miss it.
Well, I have my dog he's 9 years now. And when I first got him, so I actually took him dog diving for like a couple years. Nice. And He hates it. He doesn't have, because he doesn't chase toys. So when you do the throw, he's not gonna go in with it, right? We completely just use obedience because he's really obedience trained. So I will on the other side of dog recall him, and he would jump off the dog for me.
Awesome.
And the owner of the dog diving, like, she really impressed. She's telling everybody this dog will never jump, but he listened to his owner, so he jumped for her. But he's not huge water dog or anything. He's like, okay, the moment he jumped, like, okay, I'm turning back and get out. Like, yeah. And then I think for him, most favorite thing he do is hiking with me off leash. That's really, I think, which now we're really missing that because all the stuff going on, and you know.
Well, you should also investigate with a dog like that. There's a couple things that get forgotten, but a couple things that get left off the common discussion with dogs and play. One, personal play, very much underappreciated, underutilized. I could do an entire obedience routine with my dog for just personal play. No toys, no food. That's not the same thing as saying affection. Petting them on the head, they'd be like, what? But personal play with me where we get to wrestle and bang out a little bit, like, oh, in heaven. I have another dog that doesn't want to wrestle, but they legit want to make out. They want to, like, both feet up on one on each shoulder and just just tongue out everything I have, right? Like, that's just their thing. But they'll work for it. I can go, come, down, in, down, come, yes. And they'll jump up and make out. No problem. The reward event is jump up into my arms and kissy face, and then I can put you back down and do some obedience. And then the reward is jump up into my arms and kissy face. Totally. It doesn't matter. We're playing a game. Now, that game doesn't look like other dogs' games, but we have it worked out where this is what we do. This is what you like. These are the dials you like to spin. That's what I'm going to do. And that's the reward event. And we can work for it. So a lot of people, Denise Fenzi wrote in her book, I think it was volume 3 of like Sport Dog Skills or something like that. She talks about personal play being this thing of like this very underutilized aspect of training, because personal play is the only thing you can take into every ring in the world with you. Personal play is the only thing you're going to have in an emergency. You're not going to have your treat pouch in a shitstorm. You're not going to have your toy in a shitstorm. And if your dog views personal interaction as this, what are you trying to do, dickhead? I thought you were going to give me a reward. That's not the same thing as if they're like, hell yeah, maybe I like tennis ball better, but this is awesome. This is my number 3 reinforcer. Woo, you know, it's better than my number 0 reinforcer. So personal play is something that you should really investigate, because play means play. We get really myopic in our view. Play with a toy means fetch or tug, and that is very defined. And then there's food, which is transactional obedience or free shaping, and that's it. You know what I mean? And then that's reinforcers. That's it. And you're like, there's so much more. Personal play is a whole subject into itself that your dog, if your dog's jumping into a dock to recall to you, then there's a strong pull towards you as a person. Not the food you're having, not the toy you're having, but you. And if you can learn personal play with your dog, you would have this reinforcement strategy that might be through the moon, which is cool. And then the other thing is harness sports. People don't appreciate the power of harness sports. There's long distance sports like mushing and candy cross and bike joring and ski joring. And then there's low gear harness sports, weight pull. And man, there's some dogs that are just, their worlds are made whole by pulling. And no, they don't give a fuck about toys. They're like meh with food, and they're not really into personal play. But boy, you put them in a harness and they're like, thank you, I love you for giving me this. You know what I mean? And that's for them the most fulfilling thing that you can do. But if you never think about it, people go dock diving, agility, tug, fetch, shaping. And outside of those 5 things, you're fucked. If your dog's not into that, you're just fucked. There's nothing you can do. So it's like pulling sports are an entire subculture of dogs that people just don't investigate. And it's a shame, because there's a lot of dogs that are just made whole by that.
So how you prevent, some of my clients have like a really fearful dog. What's happening is the dog will like stop walking because of fear, right? And then they try to use harness to move the dog, and the dog actually able to escape the harness.
Yeah, I mean, you need to get good gear, because good gear is hard to get out of. And two, you need to have backups. So on a dog that is feral and fearful and a possible escape risk, I will always have a slip collar attached to the leash in spite of all the other gear they're on. Because if they just alligator roll and slip out of everything, the slip catches them. I'm not using it to train. I'm not using it to apply pressure. It is a straight flight risk stop. That's all it is. But yeah, I would have a backup. So if they slip everything, I still got them. It's unfortunate that it's by the head, but at that point, it's better than an 18-wheeler hitting them, But yeah, get good gear for sure, and a backup slip collar, 100%. And also then comes the question of, why are you walking them?
Exactly, right? I just told my clients, stop walking their dog.
But I mean, you got to think like, why? The problem is people get on this weird thing with dogs, man, where they're like, they're not applying logic. They're just doing stuff. So for example, way back in the day, like, you can tell how it happened. People are like, you have to walk your dogs. Why? Because you have to. Like, that's every TV show has ever said, you got to walk your dogs. You got to walk your dogs twice a day or some shit, like an hour a day. You got to walk your dogs, right? The problem is, like, how the bullshit started. Like, back in the day, dogs lived very organically. You fed your dog at night, they slept in the house probably, and then during the day, they just went and ran the fucking neighborhood, right? They got out, they traveled around, they did their thing, they went to the bathroom, they did their thing. They were biologically fulfilled, and they had places to go potty, right? And then life happened to us, and we started, hey man, your dog needs to stay on your property all the fucking time. So now we need fences, and people are moving into more urban areas, and you've got a dog on a 6-story walk up in Manhattan, and like, dogs' lives just went wah and closed, right? To which people are like, I need to give my dog more than this, and that is true. My dog needs to go to the bathroom, and my dog needs to experience some kind of fulfillment and enrichment. That is also true. Take them for a walk is a very simple, natural answer to kill both of those things with one activity. My dog goes to the bathroom and is theoretically fulfilled biologically by wandering around, because we imagine they wandered around all day. Like, so when we're like, oh, what was their life used to be? They used to wander around all day. Bitch, they didn't wander around all day. They killed squirrels. They chased cats. They got in little scraps with one another over sticks. Like, they had lives, real lives. And you picture them as just wandering around, so then we just walk them around. Now we're trying to give them what we imagine they needed, but the truth is we're skipping most of what they did. The crux of their life outdoors was not walking. It was all the other shit they did. They walked to where they chased the rabbit. They walked to where they got in the fight. They walked to where they smelled this thing for an hour unbroken because nobody was fucking with them. Like, they had these lives that they had to walk around a bunch to get to the various activities in their lives. But we kind of look at it and go, well, they walked around a lot. So we take them out so they can walk around a lot, which we imagine to be biologically fulfilling. And they also go to the bathroom. Now, the thing is, dogs are so malleable and so easygoing, and honestly so fucking neotenized now, that for a lot of dogs, that's all they need. A lot of dogs are actually biologically filled by walking around the block 3 times, and they get to go to the bathroom. So their needs are met by these bullshit walks. But then people go, walks are important. Walks don't matter at all. Walks don't matter in the fucking least. I never, since he was 2 years old, I do not walk my dog Jackson. I don't walk him. He does not go for walks. Now, when we go somewhere out in the city for a seminar, I take him out to go to the bathroom. So I take him out for a quote unquote walk, but I'm literally just taking him out to go to the bathroom. We might train or play while we're out there, but he goes a block. He doesn't go. Now, if we go 6 blocks, it's because the place I was taking him to go play is 6 blocks away. It is not because he needs to walk, you know? If your dog finds traveling on a leash with you biologically fulfilling, fucking do it. But you don't need to walk your dog. Your dog needs to go to the bathroom. So do you have a way for them to go to the bathroom? Yes or no? Cool. If that involves walking them out on a leash, then great. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. Are they biologically fulfilled? Yes or no? If yes, great. If no, find a way to fulfill them. What does that entail? For one dog, it might be going out for a long ass leash walk on a flexi where they get to sniff and hunt. For another dog, that might be doing weight pull. For another dog, that might be going out in the backyard and working a fucking spring pull for an hour. But they don't need to walk. They need to potty and they need to be biologically fulfilled. If that involves a walk, cool. If it doesn't, who gives a shit? But then people are like, what happens when you take them out for a walk? They're frozen. Fucking don't walk them. Like, don't walk them. What are you doing? Don't walk. Well, yeah, but they need to get out. No, they don't. They need to be biologically fulfilled. You know what I mean? There's no requirement. Just make them happy.
You
Now,
know,
that eventually be walking. You might need to take them in the backyard 3 times a day, teach them how to have fucking courage, and then open the gate and with a long line let them explore if it's their choice, and then make them brave. And then 6 months from now, when they're brave as fuck, maybe they go, you know what, I can go for a walk, and they don't freeze, and we can go for a walk in the neighborhood should they find it fulfilling. But fuck, I don't need to take them for a walk.
so, you know, one thing you really remind me is when I interviewed Amy Sadler, she made a comment that a lot of dog owners really lack of try to understand dog's experience.
Yes.
So I think that's really what's the missing part. We made an assumption because that's how we felt about it.
Yep, exactly. I think spending a little bit of time looking at your dog as a sentient being and trying to figure out what would be the best for them and find a way to give that to them. Because maybe I can't give my dog what they would find the most reinforcing, but if I can, I should. And if I can't, like if I have a border collie and that dog would find herding the most rewarding thing in the world, but I live in the city and there's no herding. I mean, truth is maybe once a month you could take that dog herding and that's better than nothing, but maybe you can't at all. But there's this fucking sport called tray ball where they herd big bouncy balls and shit. Have you ever seen that? It's like, you know, those yoga balls that you do stretches on? They have like those, and dogs like they have like it's a game where it's like I don't know the particulars because I don't have fucking border collies, but like my dogs would just go poof and pop the toy. But like I don't know if it's soccer, like they try to put them in a thing, or if they have to herd. I don't know, but it looks like herding these balls. That's a surrogate activity. That's not herding animals, but that's spinning some dials, man, that are very, very similar. That's more similar than agility. But if you don't have a place to do tray ball, then agility is something. You know what I mean? Like you've got to try to give them what they need. If you can give them the exact thing, awesome. If you can't, give them as close a surrogate activity as you possibly can. And then once you do that, not only will your dog be happier and your relationship be better, but then you can get into dog training where you can then use that for leverage. Like, hey man, bang this recall real quick and you can do ABC. You know what I mean? Like, hey, just cooperate with me a little bit and we're going to go to do this. And then it's like, oh, cool. There's a reason why I cooperate with this idiot. You know what I mean? But yeah, I just think people get stuck on their own perspective.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing, you know, I always tell my clients, because most of my clients have the dog that just can't go out, right? Like they either crazy or like freeze. Yeah. And I said, just stop walking your dog. Let's work everything inside the house, right? Then I found the challenge is my clients want to go out. Yes. So have nothing to do with the dog.
Yeah, go for a walk.
Yeah, they want to go for a walk, so they want their dog to accompany them. Yeah, but then they have a horrible walk.
Yeah, just let your dog be, dude. Like, accept the fact that your dog would prefer not to and you would prefer to, and then go for a walk. Do you know what I mean? It's like, just Like, if you had a significant other that was like, I want to go to the park, and you're like, well, it's my day off and I'm really tired. Enjoy the park. No, you got to go to the park with me, but I really don't want to go to the park. Yeah, but we can't be apart. You're like, that's a problem, bro. But people get like that. They get annoyed when their dogs are like that. It's weird, dude. People will get like weird if their dog's like a little Velcro dog sticking to them. They're like, oh man, that's a problem. But then they're like, yeah, I can't go for a walk by myself. My dog has to come with me because I want to walk. They don't enjoy walking. Yeah, but I got to walk them around the neighborhood. That's why I got a dog, so I could go for walks. You're like, really? You're not thinking about Fluffy at all. Like, you're just, I got you so you could walk with me. Wow, that's a healthy relationship, you know? I think my relationship advice in all beings, regardless of species, is want for, not from. Healthy relationships want for, they don't want from. I want for you to be happy. I want for you to have this tennis ball. I don't want from you to play fetch with me. Because if you're like, dude, I'm not into the tennis ball, then I'm like, cool, what do you want? You want the frisbee? Because I want for you to find the thing that brings you joy. I don't want from you the activity of frisbee. I want for you to find joy in life. Is that going for a walk? Yeah, I'll take you, bro. Because I want for you. But I don't want from you to go for a walk with me, you know? And that's a different attitude. But I think if you can want for, not from, you can change a lot of shit about the way it feels. And honestly, beings can feel when you want for, not from, and they become immediately 1,000 times more cooperative because it doesn't feel coercive and transactional, you know?
I love this. And I think this is probably a good place for us to end today before we drag too long. And so, yeah, share with the audience, like where they can find you if they want to know more of your work.
Well, so our website is nldogs.com. That's Next Level Dogs, the name of our dog training company. If you're looking into the sport, you can look at grcdogsports.com. That's the website for the sport itself, with all the rules and the clubs that are around the world and things like that. We have a podcast, GRC Dog Talk. It's on iTunes and everywhere else. You can look that up. We usually come out once a week or so. And then we have a Patreon page associated with that. That is a couple bucks a month, but it's basically all of our dog training stuff. Like, it's supposed to be extra content for the podcast listeners, but it is essentially hours and hours and hours and tons of downloads of PDFs and videos of how I do the things that I do and why I do the things that I do. So everything we talked about would be in step-by-step format on that Patreon page. And that's basically it.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm so glad you're able to join me today.
Yeah,
and hopefully got to chat with you soon.